wanted to get into the Blue app too, where the coaching apps, because those are fascinating to me. The coach analysis, I don't know if all of you have that one or not, but I do. And even the other day when my girls came home from their trip, and then one of my daughters was like, I said, "Oh, do you want to run a Healy program?" Because at lunch she ran one, and for her lungs she has asthma, and she finds that it helps support that, so she doesn't have to take her medication as often. Trying to get her own Healy. But we were talking and she just jokingly said, "Oh, do you have anything to like help me get through this block of," I think it had something to do with work. And I said, "Well, actually, yes, we do." And so for, just out of the heck of it, we went to the coach analysis app and she did her positive, her focus statement and the stuff that came out, like with the things that we were able to talk about. And then she could actually release the some fear that she'd been holding on to as we were running the vibration afterwards. And it's interesting how accurate that thing is, like
Mhm.
when it scans you. So I know for me, when I've done it for me and I went, wow, there's some things that I hadn't made the connect the dots yet. And then I was able to do that through the app for myself. And then there's other things where I was already consciously working through them. And it's such a confirmation when you are working through them that it comes up on the scan, because
Yeah,
then you're like, "Oh man, this works because that is what's in my energy field. I know that for sure. I know that I'm working through that, and there it is." So, Jen, do you want to
I
start?
really love that.
I
Yeah.
love I love the aura scanner as well.
Me
Yes. Yeah.
too.
Big time because especially being able to have the negative relevancies, which is basically what's trapped in your subconscious, aka your shadow work, right?
Yeah.
So I love tapping into that. It's brought so much of my subconscious um, things that I'm not aware of into my conscious awareness, right? So then I can start working through it. And then, like you said, when I am working through something, it often shows up on the conscious scan, right? So I love, 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 love that. And I love being able to know. I love how it breaks down whether, like, how much work you have to do in that area, and whether it's a mental block, emotional block, whether it's physical, or whether it's karmic or ancestral, because I feel a lot of people get down on themselves, um, and are like, "What's wrong with me? Why can't I clear these things?" Well, sometimes it's because it's not even your own. It was passed down to you by your ancestors for you to clear. So that's why it's a little bit harder. Hold on here.
Yeah.
So yeah, the aura scan is amazing. It's even picked up like stuff that I've had a dream. Like if I usually do it every morning. Right when I wake up, I scan myself and it's like picked up on dreams somehow. I'm like, how do you know this?
That's
It's
interesting.
just
Yeah.
mind blowing. And I do love the coaching analysis as well. That's helped me a lot. Those are probably the two that I use the most, is the aura scanner and the coaching. They're amazing. Yeah, and it helps really break through blockages that you have and work through things quicker than you're just trying to like heal at home on your own kind of thing. It's like a little level up in a sense, right? To help you heal faster than you normally would.
Yeah, it gives you that something to focus on, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. I love it.
Something to feel through for sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So how about you, Kaylee?
Oh, this one, I've been sitting here vibrating as Jen's talking.
Yeah.
These two apps are the apps I use the most. Being a life coach, I'm often, well, and my business, I take an integral approach. So I'm often looking at the person as a whole.
Hmm.
So working with an app that literally takes me out of it. So it's completely an unbiased perspective of that person's energetic terrain is very powerful. It's such a powerful tool, both in on like a conscious level, like you said, working on specific blockages or specific issues that you're having in life with the coaching app and being able to target them so specifically and clear very specific blocks that actually have, meaningful movement. They'll give meaningful movement in how you work through things outside of that coaching experience.
Mhm.
But the Aura app has got to be like my
Yeah.
favorite. I do, I have an intuitive side of my business where I do intuitive oracle mapping, as well as like past life clearings and regressions. And so the Aura app has really been beneficial in working with people on systemic issues, again, that are anchored somewhere outside of their current timeline, and that really allow us to move energy around patterns that are present in their current existence, right? Their current experience. And honestly, the amount of stories that I have to just explain how the depth and how impactful this particular app is mind blowing. I couldn't possibly summarize them all today, but the Aura app is definitely my favorite. I think by far, because you can target very specific issues and gain information through the chakra that's associated with those issues. So you really get like a very vast perspective, but on like a microcosm level. It's honestly mind blowing to me. And I, as much as I understand it and I work with it and I see it in the experiences my clients are having and just in my personal life, I'm still blown away every single time we do an aura scan and we start digging into a specific chakra or specific ailment, and the types of things that come up and how much release can happen just within a single chakra. It's mind blowing. I love that app very, very much.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like what you said about how the coaching analysis and even that aura scan too, it takes you out of it personally. Like, even though I'm sure all of us here were very intuitive, and when we're working with people, it's easy to kind of feel where they might be blocked. But I think sometimes it's harder it's different to navigate around being able to say to someone, this is what I'm sensing from you. And if they're not ready to look at that yet, like, then it's really hard to work through that because they're just not open to talking about it. But I do love the scan. Like the other day, my other daughter did one too. And the first one that came up, it was a coach analysis one though. And the first one that came up was like a zinger. Like it was like right we both looked at each other and we're like, that's what you've been working through. And she's like, uh-huh. We're like, so I mean, she's very open to talking about it. And but it was just like so accurate. And but it takes even me as her mom, like it takes me out of it and saying to her, you know what, I feel like I mean, me and my kids have that relationship where we can actually talk about things like that anyway. But I do like using that with them because it does kind of take me out of it. And then we just get to talk about what comes up. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I
Well,
like
and
that. Yeah.
yeah, same here. Well, and there's like 90% of the work is done when you acknowledge what comes up in the scans and when you work through them on a conscious level, and then make a plan to follow that up in your spiritual practice or your mental practice. You know, you get so much movement just from discussing what comes up, whether it's obvious or not obvious, conscious or subconscious. And, you know, as like a secondary aspect of this too, being that a lot of us are already quite intuitive, I mean, and work with energy already,
Yeah.
I really love the capability of, and this is a little bit away from the Aura app and coaching app as a generality, but I really love the ability when we're talking about taking the practitioner out of it. I love how you can run a program in the background and hold some energetic space for a client. Let's say you're dealing with somebody who's got a really complicated case. And I mean, I've had a few where I'm doing a past life regression, but I know that they're holding a lot of anxious energy or they're holding a lot of shame, for example. It's really lovely to be able to use the Healy as a means to hold that energy through running a program that can support that
Mhm.
anxious, you know, surface energy while I do the deep dive over here. It allows me as the practitioner to step out energetically on this part and let the Healy take over this and support this aspect of this person's energetic issues, and then be able to dive into this on the other end. And even with coaching, again, the
Yeah.
talking a lot of it through, going through everything consciously, but being able to have the Healy hold a certain level of energy for that client, whether it's through the Blue app and is, very specifically honed in, and we're having a conversation about what's come up on their scan, or whether it's we're doing this deep dive intuitively and they just need some support like coherence to keep them balanced so they can focus their energy into the work over here too. So that consciousness of it, taking the practitioner out of it, and the unbiased that the Healy offers, which is very, very present in both the Aura and the coaching app, it also makes it very present in some of the other physical apps through the Pink app. um
Right.
Anyways, just some thoughts that came up as you were talking about that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, there's so much. So, Josiah, how about yourself? Have you used the resonance analysis or the aura analysis, and how do you like it?
Yeah, it's so many different like aha moments came listening to all of you. So, first of all, I have used it. Um, I have actually, now that I'm thinking everything through, I've been doing more of the pink app with my muscle man and not as much of the blue. And when I have done the blue late, he's like, "Oh yeah, actually, I did." When I check in with him, it's like, "Oh yeah, actually, I did feel good today." And it's like, "Well, I ran this thing for you." So I'm just kind of putting it together, the difference between like blue and pink in
Yeah.
certain ways. Also, the two women who vastly it changed their whole feeling this week are both going to buy one, and that both of those were also not the pink, they were the blue. So that was something thinking of. And I think that there's a bit of me that was a little bit more I could get on board very quickly with Pink app, and with Blue app I'm open, but not, it hadn't had like concrete, evidence and feeling around it. And the other day I had a food sensitivity and it started these reactions, and part of them is like, just this general not feeling well, like needing to just sleep and not look and deal with life. And so I did a scan and I ran an app while I was sleeping, just the vibration, just did it for like 8 hours or 5 hours, I think. And I felt this, like, just this, just like a feeling of just being held a little bit, like just that kind of like, oh, this is, like the symptoms and that feeling I felt like lifted and held. And then in the middle of the night I woke up and I felt like that blanket gone. I felt a little cold. I didn't feel the support and warmth. And I looked down and the app had completed. And so I put it back on, and all of a sudden I felt that again. And so that was a really cool experience for me.